Welcome to American BBQ'ers. Today, we're smoking some salmon. We're going to make a smoked salmon dip. What I like to do with my salmon, I've got about a 2-pound fillet right here, 2.5 to be exact. If I'm smoking salmon just to eat salmon as it is without mixing it in anything, I will take and trim part of the belly flap off. Tends to be really fatty, has a lot of fishy flavor to it, and it's really thin, so it will cook quicker than the rest of your salmon, and sometimes it can get a little crunchy if you're not careful. But being we're doing a slow smoke today, I've got my Z-Grill set on the smoke setting, so I should average somewhere around 150 to 160 degrees. We're going to let it smoke like that for about 2 hours. Then I will kick it up to about 225 just to make sure the salmon is fully cooked. But for this piece of salmon, real simple, from the smoked salmon dip, just going to do a little salt and pepper on it, and not much. Okay, about like so. That's all you're going to need. We got that ready. I got the Z-Grill set ready. I'm going to be taking that out here in just a minute. At this moment, you need to go ahead and pull out your cream cheese. You need to let it get room temperature. It's going to take a couple hours depending on your weather outside. Right now we're 39 degrees outside the home. Right now I've got it set at 67, so it's going to take a couple hours for these blocks to come warm, so where you can actually mix. Let's go ahead and get those out. We're going to get the salmon put on the grill, and in a couple hours we'll have a nice piece of smoked salmon, and we will get to making our salmon dip. Okay, we're back. Right here is the finished product with our salmon. Smoked for about 3 hours. 2 hours on smoke setting, which we maintained right around 145 degrees. Then I kicked it up to about 250 for the last hour, just to make sure the salmon got fully cooked. So from here, what you're going to do, I'm going to flip it over. You're going to want to take off this skin. Okay. Just carefully. Some of it will stick if you're not careful, but it should pull off relatively easy. If you get some salmon that sticks on it, just pull it off. And I'm just going to set this aside. Okay, now from here, if you notice on the back side of the salmon, we do have some of this brown right here. That right there is what they call the bloodline. That's going to be very, very gamey. So what you're going to do is take a knife and with some relative ease just kind of scrape it. You don't have to put a lot of force. It will scrape off really easy. Just give it a nice scrape all the way down. Okay. Just kind of set it aside once you get it. Like so. And you even do this when you actually are grilling or cooking a normal piece of salmon. Any good restaurant that you go to, you get salmon, they will do this right after it's done cooking. It will get rid of all that unpleasant, harder, fishier flavor. Okay, so now that we got that all nice and cleaned off, what you're going to take your 2 pounds of cream cheese. I've got it softened in a bowl. To this, I added a half a cup of mayonnaise and a half a cup of sour cream. Went ahead and stirred this together. Now, for the actual salmon part of it, we're going to want, for this recipe, we're looking at about starting off about 1 pound worth. So I've got a scale here. Set it on it. We're at about 8 ounces right there. Take and do a little more here. Get as close to a pound as you can. And right there's spot on a pound. I got this little extra piece. And what you're gonna do, take this salmon and kind of just break it up with your fingers in the bowl. Now the top of the salmon will be a little harder to break up because it has all that smokiness on it. It's nice and cooked. Just kind of break it up here. Now, we're not really worried about texture with this bit of the salmon. Just set this aside here. We're going to mix. Okay, we want to kind of make sure we break up all this salmon in here the best we can. We want a nice mixture. At this point, you can have this in a blender and blend it up. If you want to, make it nice and smooth. That's kind of what we're going for on this bit. Okay. Now that you got it to about a decent smoothness here, we're going to add a few more ingredients. I've got about 3 tablespoons of fresh chopped dill. I'm going to add here. Over here I've got about 6 tablespoons of sliced green onions. Add to the bowl. And I've got 1 whole lemon that I've juiced. Take and add that. Tabasco. You want to give it a couple good shakes in here. I mean, total you're looking at about a teaspoon's worth of Tabasco sauce. And then you're going to do salt and pepper to taste. So we'll start off with a couple pinches here. Now we give this a nice mix. Now if you're doing this in a blender, you could put the chopped dill and give it a nice couple pulses along with your Tabasco and lemon juice. I would refrain from putting the green onions in the blender. At that point, you're going to want to transfer it to a bowl and stir the green onions in. Okay. So now that we're about in a nice texture here, I'm going to give it a quick little taste to see if we need to add any more salt and pepper to it. Which I think we're good. That's what we have so far. Now with the rest of our salmon we have going on here, we're going to want about a good 8 ounces, half a pound, which that's spot on right there. And for this bit of salmon, we're just going to give it a large, rough chop. This is our salmon that's going to give us some texture in our dip. Okay, pull back. And then at this point, we're not going to do a real hard, heavy mix. We're going to do more of a folding type mix to it. We don't want this bit of our salmon to get broken up like we were before. We just want it nice and mixed. That way you've got some nice hunks of salmon in your dip. That way you have a little texture going on. Okay, and from here, just kind of look. I happen to have just a little bit of extra salmon over here. Not a whole lot to really save, so I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm just going to add the rest of it. This right here is probably about another 2 to 3 ounces of salmon total. You're looking right around a 2-pound piece of salmon for your starting weight. And again, we're just going to do a light fold on it. We don't want to break it up. Give you a nice little bites of that smoked salmon. Now, when you're all complete, you're going to want to set this in a container and set it aside for a good 24 hours, at least overnight. You want all these flavors that you have going on to have a chance to kind of mesh together. Here's the finished product. When you go to serve it, you may want to pull it out 10-15 minutes in advance. Let it warm up just a little bit, not too much. Make it a little easier to spread. But you have a nice smoked salmon dip you can use for an appetizer, or my wife loves to use it for an actual meal. Just this with some saltine crackers, and she calls it lunch. Okay, now that we're completed, everything was done on a Z-Grill's pellet grill today. If you don't have one, visit zgrillsalescenter.com. Order yours today. And feel free to head on over to Z-Grill's Nation Facebook group. Click to join.